Welcome to my channel Echoes of Coin. What if a single penny could carry the heartbeat of an entire century? The 1910 1-cent coin has traveled through world wars, changing nations and countless human hands. From dusty pockets to priceless collections, this tiny bronze piece hides stories of America's past that most people never notice. Are you ready to uncover the secret life of a 1910 penny? The 1-cent coin of 1910 belongs to one of the most respected and historically meaningful series in American numismatics, the Lincoln Wheat Cent series. This coin represents far more than a small piece of copper. It carries within its surface the memory of an era when the United States was moving from the age of horse carriages into the age of electricity, industry, and global influence. The year 1910 was only the second year of the Lincoln Cent design, which had been introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Before 1909, the United States 1-cent coin had carried the image of Lady Liberty in various forms. But the decision to place a real historical figure on a regular circulating coin was revolutionary for its time. The designer of the Lincoln Cent was Victor David Brenner, a talented sculptor who had immigrated to the United States from Lithuania. Brenner admired Abraham Lincoln deeply and had already created plaques and medals featuring Lincoln's portrait. When President Theodore Roosevelt encouraged the modernization and beautification of American coinage, Brenner was invited to submit designs. His portrait of Lincoln was based on a photograph taken by Matthew Brady, and it captured Lincoln with dignity, humanity, and quiet strength. The obverse of the 1910 1-cent coin shows Lincoln facing right with the word liberty to the left, the phrase "I in God we trust" above, and the date 1910 to the right. This simple arrangement has become one of the most recognizable coin designs in world history. The reverse of the 1910 cent features two wheat ears surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the Latin motto E pluribus unum above. Because of these wheat stalks, collectors later began calling these coins wheat cents. The design symbolized America as an agricultural nation and reflected values of growth, nourishment, and honest labor. In 1910, the United States was still strongly connected to farming life even as factories and cities were expanding rapidly. Holding a 1910 cent today is like touching a bridge between those two worlds. These coins were struck in 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Philadelphia carry no mint mark, while those from Denver show a small D, and those from San Francisco show an S below the date on the obverse. The Philadelphia Mint produced more than 146 million pieces in 1910, making it the most common variety. The Denver Mint struck over 8 million coins, and the San Francisco Mint produced a little more than 6 million. Because of these lower mintages, the 1910D and especially the 1910S are more desirable to collectors today. The composition of the coin in 1910 was 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, a bronze alloy that gave the coin a warm reddish color when new. Over the decades, many examples turned brown or chocolate colored due to oxidation. Some rare pieces retained their original red luster, and those are highly valued in modern times. Each coin weighed 3.11 grams and had a diameter of 19 millimeters, the same size that the American cent had carried since the middle of the 19th century. The production of the new Lincoln cent in 1909 had not been without controversy. Brenner had originally placed his full initials VDB on the reverse, but many people felt this was too bold and resembled advertising. Public criticism caused the mint to remove the initials after only a few months of production. As a result, most 1909 coins appear without the initials, and in 1910 the design continued without them. It was not until 1918 that Brenner's initials were quietly restored in tiny letters on the obverse. Therefore, every 1910 cent belongs to the early no-initial style. The year 1910 itself was a fascinating moment in American history. William Howard Taft was president, the Wright brothers were improving their airplanes, and automobiles were beginning to fill the streets. A loaf of bread cost only a few cents, and a single penny still had real purchasing power. Children could buy candy, a newspaper, or a small toy for 1 cent. The coin passed through the hands of factory workers, farmers, immigrants arriving at Ellis Island, and soldiers preparing for a world that would soon be shaken by global conflict. From a numismatic perspective, Collectors examine the 1910 cent for details such as strike quality, surface preservation, and color. Early Lincoln cents were struck with high relief, and some pieces show weak areas, particularly on Lincoln's hair and the wheat stalks. Finding a sharply struck example from 1910 is therefore exciting. Grading services today classify coins from poor condition, where the design is barely visible, all the way to mint state 67 or higher, where the coin looks almost as fresh as the day it left the press. Varieties also add interest to the 1910 cent minor double dies. Repunched mint marks and die cracks are known and studied by specialists. These varieties tell the story of how coins were actually made, with human hands preparing dies and machines working at high speed. Each tiny imperfection becomes a fingerprint of history. For example, some 1910s coins show slight repunching of the S mint mark, a result of the mint worker striking the letter twice into the die by hand. The economic life of the coin was long. Many 1910 cents circulated for decades, surviving the First World War, the Great Depression, and even the Second World War before finally disappearing into jars, drawers, and collections. Copper shortages during World War II led to the famous 1943 steel cent, but the older bronze pieces like those of 1910 remained legal tender and continued to jingle in pockets. Some were worn almost smooth, yet they still carried Lincoln's calm profile. Collectors today feel a special affection for early wheat cents because they are affordable connections to the past. A beginner can often purchase a well-worn 1910 Philadelphia cent for only a few dollars, while higher-grade examples may cost much more. The 1910s in particular can reach impressive prices when found in excellent condition. Auction records show that top-grade red specimens have sold for thousands of dollars, proving how strongly the market values quality and rarity. The artistry of Brenner's portrait deserves close appreciation. Lincoln's expression on the coin is gentle but determined, reflecting the character of a leader who preserved the Union. Unlike many earlier coin portraits that looked like classical gods, this was a real human face. The decision to honor Lincoln on everyday money helped shape American identity in the 20th century. Every time a 1910 cent changed hands, it reminded citizens of ideals such as unity, freedom, and equality. Minting technology in 1910 relied on heavy mechanical presses powered by steam and electricity. Planchets were cut from long strips of bronze, heated, cleaned, and then struck between engraved dies with tremendous force. The noise inside the mint buildings was deafening, and workers had to be skilled and attentive. Mistakes could ruin thousands of coins. Thinking about these conditions adds respect for the humble cent that survived the process. The journey of a single 1910 coin after leaving the mint could be remarkable. It might have paid for a streetcar ride in New York, bought an apple in Kansas, or traveled in a soldier's pocket to the Mexican border during the 1916 expedition. Some coins crossed oceans in the pockets of immigrants returning to Europe for visits. Each scratch and mark on surviving pieces may represent an unknown adventure. Numismatics is not only about money but about storytelling. The 1910 cent tells the story of America between two centuries, of a nation remembering its Civil War hero while stepping into modern times. Collectors who study these coins often research family histories, old photographs, and newspapers from 1910 to imagine the world in which the coin was new. Such imagination turns metal into living history. When evaluating a 1910 cent, experts look at the sharpness of Lincoln's beard, the separation of the wheat lines, and the clarity of the letters. Original red color is prized, but even brown coins can be beautiful if the surfaces are smooth and problem-free. Cleaning a coin usually reduces its value because it destroys the natural patina developed over a century. Therefore, many collectors prefer untouched pieces that honestly show their age. Counterfeits are another aspect of the market. Because certain 1910 varieties are valuable, dishonest people have occasionally altered dates or mint marks. Learning to detect these fakes is part of the collector's education. Authentic coins display specific shapes of numerals and mint marks that experts recognize. This detective work adds excitement to the hobby. The legacy of the 1910 cent continued long after its year. The wheat design remained in production until 1958, after which the Lincoln Memorial reverse replaced it in 1959. Yet the early dates like 1910 are considered the foundation of every Lincoln cent collection. Many enthusiasts attempt to build a complete set from 1909 to 1958, and the 1910s often becomes one of the key challenges. Museums and coin shows frequently display high-grade 1910 cents alongside other artifacts from the period such as postcards, tools, and clothing. Seeing these objects together helps people understand how small and ordinary the coin was in daily life, yet how powerful it has become as a historical symbol. Children who hold a 1910 penny for the first time often express wonder that something so old can survive. The metal content of these coins also connects to global history. The copper used in 1910 came from mines in places like Montana and Arizona, where miners worked under difficult conditions. The price of copper influenced minting decisions and even national policy. Thus, a simple cent reflects the labor of thousands of people whose names are forgotten. Some 1910 cents have been discovered in archaeological digs, old buildings, and buried hoards. Each discovery creates headlines among collectors. Finding a century-old coin in the soil reminds us how objects outlive their owners. The cent becomes a messenger from anonymous Americans who laughed, struggled, and dreamed more than 100 years ago. Educational programs often use wheat cents to teach students about economics and history. By comparing prices from 1910 with today, young people learn about inflation and the changing value of money. The coin becomes a classroom tool as well as a collectible. In recent years, digital communities on the internet have allowed enthusiasts from around the world to share photographs and research about the 1910 cent. Detailed images reveal tiny die markers that were once known only to a few specialists. This global conversation continues to uncover new varieties and stories. The emotional appeal of the coin should not be underestimated. Many families pass down a 1910 penny as a keepsake from grandparents or great-grandparents. Such coins may have little monetary value but immense sentimental worth. They connect generations through a tangible object that has witnessed the passing of time. Even the wear patterns on heavily circulated pieces have beauty. Smooth surfaces reflect years of honest service in commerce. Unlike modern coins that disappear quickly, the bronze cents of 1910 were built to last. Their durability symbolizes the endurance of the nation itself. Collectors sometimes imagine the exact day their coin was minted, perhaps on a cold winter morning in Philadelphia when workers were reading newspaper reports about events far away. The coin might have been counted into bags, shipped by train to a bank, and then handed out to customers. Tracing this imagined path enriches the experience of ownership. The 1910 cent also inspires artistic expression. Painters, photographers, and writers have used the image of the wheat cent to represent nostalgia and memory. Its design is balanced and elegant, proving that even everyday objects can be works of art. As time moves forward, surviving examples from 1910 become scarcer. Many were lost, melted, or worn beyond recognition. This gradual disappearance increases the responsibility of collectors to preserve what remains. Proper storage in holders and albums protects the coins for future generations. The story of the 1910 1-cent coin ultimately reflects the broader American story. Innovation, respect for leaders, hard work, and continuity. From the moment it was struck to the present day, it has traveled through hands and histories, carrying silent witness to more than a century of change. To study this coin is to study the heartbeat of ordinary life in 1910 and beyond. And so the small bronze disc dated 1910 continues to speak without words. It reminds us that value is not only measured in dollars but in memories and meaning. Every surviving piece invites us to pause, to imagine the world that created it, and to appreciate how a single cent can hold an entire universe of history within its modest circle.